watching the Mystical Green Beanie.
Hey, what's going on, dudes and dudettes? I am the Mystical Green Beanie, and welcome to another Injustice Multiversity Monday. And with Infinity War just around the corner, I wanted to make one of these at least somewhat relevant to what's going on in pop culture for once, instead of talking about comics and stuff. So, something that I often see both Marvel and DC fans do is compare Darkseid and Thanos. And it's kind of like when people compare Batman and Black Panther, where I get it, but only superficially. Because much like Darkseid and Thanos, those are two characters who kinda look similar, but are drastically different once you get past the fact that one sorta looks like the other. So, first and foremost, Darkseid and Thanos are not even really comparable because the two characters have very different goals. Thanos does what he does to prove his love to Mistress Death, who is the physical manifestation of death itself. Thanos is in love with and worships this eternal being, and all he wants is for her to recognize him after he proves his worth to her. And this is all because he's a nihilist. And there are quite a few reasons for that. The main one is that he was born into a race of beings called Eternals, and he carried this gene in his DNA which made him a deviant, which basically means that he was born ugly as shit and his mother tried to kill him. From there, he grew up and found nihilism, which I totally sympathize with, and from then on he worshipped the concept of death, and then set out to slaughter countless people, including his own, just to prove to Mistress Death that he was worthy of her love and attention. And that's far from Darkseid's characterization and motivation. So, Darkseid is a new god and a tyrannical ruler of this planet called Apocalypse, and Darkseid's whole deal is that he is the physical manifestation of evil in the multiverse. And his goal in life is to find this mathematical formula called the anti-life equation and use it to enslave everyone in existence. So, yeah, Darkseid and Thanos have nothing in common except for their look. But speaking of which, there's actually a reason for that. So, Jim Starlin, the man who created Thanos and wrote arguably one of the greatest Marvel stories of all time, tells the story of how Thanos was created. So, Starlin was inspired heavily by Jack Kirby's concept of the New Gods and the Fourth World and all of that. So, when Starlin was at Marvel, he was about to create a new character, and he made one that was strikingly similar to Metron, who is the new god of knowledge and the chronicler of the universe, or multiverse, much rather. Now, when Starlin took this character concept to his editor looked at the character description and the sketch and told him that if he was going to rip off one of the new gods, at least rip off one of the cool ones like Darkseid, which is why Thanos and Darkseid look somewhat similar. But what's even funnier is that when Starlin went to work at DC, he created yet another character who's called Mongol, who's a ripoff of Thanos. So, it's funny how things work out that way. But yeah, with all that said, the two main books that I'd recommend for really getting into Thanos are Infinity Gauntlet by Jim Starlin, George Perez, and Ron Lim. This is actually the basis for the Infinity War film, so this is an automatic recommendation for me anyhow. Plus, it's a great comic. It's not my top 10, but it's certainly my top 30, and it's one of the greatest Marvel comics ever written, as I said earlier. And I know those are bold claims, especially since I know there are some Marvel fans who don't like the story and will disagree with me, but whatever, I love it. Now, personally, I feel like the way in which the story ends, Thanos can't really appear as a villain anymore because it would cheapen the ending of the book, but that's exactly what happens. But, that's just the way comics go sometimes. That's just the way this medium works. But that said, I have heard great things about the current Thanos book, which was originally written by Jeff Lemire and is now being written by Donny Cates. But for me, it's kind of like that whole situation with Tom King's Vision, where there's this writer that I like writing about a character that I absolutely don't care about, purely for movie synergy purposes, and I didn't give the book the light of day, and then it turns out to be one of the greatest comics of the year. So that's the book that I will be reading before Infinity War comes out, and I think it's a book that you should be reading too. I flipped through the last issue. I loved it a lot. There was this whole fight between old man Thanos and young man Thanos, and Mistress Death was there watching the fight, and it was beautifully drawn. It was beautifully written, but yeah, definitely check out the current Thanos book if you're looking to get into Thanos. And as for the 3 books I'll recommend for getting into Darkseid, I'll have to recommend the original Orion and the New Gods, which was written and drawn by Jack Kirby, as well as JLA Rock of Ages and Final Crisis, which were both written by Grant Morrison, and Rock of Ages was drawn by Howard Porter, I think, and Final Crisis was drawn by a crap ton of people, because that book was stricken with delays, and I don't know how it came out at all. But I will warn you, though, Final Crisis is trippy as fuck, and I understand that some people don't read comics to have an experience that's akin to dropping acid. But yeah, in the end, Darkseid and Thanos, nothing alike. Well, besides their superficial traits. They are very different characters, and I hope that the Infinity War film highlights the major differences between the 2 characters. Anyways, what are your thoughts on either Darkseid or Thanos? Let me know down below in the comment section. Also, if you like this video, hit the like button, share, support the channel, and if you want to see more content like this, all you have to do is subscribe. I'm the Mystical Green Beanie. Thank you for watching, and as always, until next time, adios nachos, adios.
Tremble in the might of Darkseid.
So little accomplished.
Darkseid wins.
Join my ranks and fight for a new god.
I don't play sidekick or victim.
How about dutiful minion?
Begin.
Tremble in the might of Darkseid.
I'm the future of crime fighting.
Darkseid wins.